Okay, let's dive into this. You know how we often think of innovation as this flash of genius, right? A brand new idea just appearing out of nowhere. But what if I told you one of the most powerful innovation strategies isn't about creating from scratch at all, but about strategically re-engineering what's already out there? Today, we're getting into the foundations of something called design for patentability, and it's a way of thinking that's going to flip the script on how we invent and protect our ideas.
Now that line is meant to be a little provocative. The word circumvent sounds kind of like cheating, doesn't it? It might even make you think of copying. But what we're about to see is that in the world of high-stakes innovation, this is way less about theft and much more about a really sophisticated kind of creative problem-solving. It's a mindset that top innovators use every single day.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Are we looking at some sneaky way to rip off someone else's work, or is this a legitimate, powerful strategy for creating something new, something better, and something you can actually sell without getting into a massive legal battle? The answer? Well, it might just surprise you.
So to really get this, you have to see how the thinking has changed. The old way, using intellectual property strategy, was totally reactive. An engineer would invent something, toss it over the wall to the lawyers, and they'd use it as a legal shield, mostly worried about competitors. But we're seeing this huge shift to what's called design for patentability, or DFP. This is proactive. It's a design methodology. It's not a legal thing you do at the end. It's an engineering tool you use from day one, and it's all about making your own innovation stronger.
So what in the world is DFP? Well, it's an engineering discipline. And I have to say that again, it's an engineering discipline. It's about weaving patent strategy right into the design process itself. So the goal isn't just to invent something cool. The goal is to invent something that is inherently strong, defensible, and patentable right from the get-go, from the moment it's just a sketch on a napkin.
Okay, and this is where things get really tricky. It's a huge trap, and so many inventors fall right into it. You get a patent for your brilliant new idea, you pop the champagne, and you think, great, I'm ready to hit the market. But here's the hard truth. Owning a patent does not automatically give you the right to sell your product.
This table right here, it lays out the two big hurdles you have to clear. First, there's patentability. That's all about proving your idea is new and useful. If you pull that off, you get a patent. Think of it like a license to own your idea. But then there's this whole other challenge, non-infringement, or what's called freedom to operate. And that's a totally different question. Does my product copy a key piece of a competitor's patent? This is about getting a license to sell. And you absolutely, positively need both.
So let's circle back to that word, circumvention. We're starting to see it's not about stealing. It's actually the engineering process you use to get that freedom to operate. It's about strategically designing around a competitor's patent claims to create something that does a similar job, but in a totally new, non-infringing way. Some people even call it patent augmentation. So how does this designing around thing actually work? Well, it's not just guesswork. It's a really methodical four-step process. First, you dig into the competitor's patent and decode their most important claims. Then, you do a function analysis. You basically break their invention down into its core parts and figure out what job each part does. Now, the magic really happens in step 3 with something called the trimming principle. This is where you strategically get rid of one of those essential parts. You just take it out. So if a patent described a bicycle with a chain, trimming is figuring out how to build a bike with no chain. And the final step? You redistribute the functions. That means you make the parts you have left, the pedals, the wheel hub, do the job of the chain you just removed. Pretty clever, right?
All right, so you're probably thinking, okay, I get it. This is all just a super clever, sophisticated way to deal with competitors and their patents. And yeah, it is. But is that really the main goal here? Is this whole discipline just about outsmarting the other guy?
Well, no. And honestly, this is the part that changes everything. The real power of mastering this technique isn't just about getting around other people's patents. It's about turning that entire mindset inward. The real goal is to look at your own brilliant ideas with the ruthless, critical eye of a circumventor and make them so elegant, so streamlined, that they become impossible to design around.
And that is a total game changer. Because when you start thinking like your rival, you proactively find the weak spots in your own designs. You can see the parts a competitor could easily trim away to make their own version. And then you get rid of those weak spots before they ever become a problem. This pushes you to build stronger, more valuable, and much more defensible patents. And funny enough, it often leads you to a more elegant, more efficient, and even a lower-cost design.
It literally turns a defensive legal chore into an offensive tool for innovation.
This quote just says it all perfectly. You have to put on the hat of your biggest competitor. You have to stare at your own creation and ask, okay, how would I get around this? And then you have to solve that problem yourself, long before anyone else even gets the chance. That is the very heart of designing for patentability.
So as you go forward with your own projects, your own ideas, here's the final thought I really want to leave you with. Are you building something that is just new? Or are you building something that is truly robust? Is your next big idea built to last? Or is it, without you even realizing it, built to be circumvented? The answer to that question could be the difference between being a footnote in history and creating a lasting innovation.